Are you a high-performing parent, entrepreneur, or high achiever in pursuit of excellence? Welcome to The Nexus Podcast, a podcast custom tailored for families like ours, driven, affluent, and eager to lead extraordinary lives. From rockstar stay-at-home moms to high-producing CEOs, we choose to model success for everyone we are surrounded by. We prioritize health over sickness, embrace a vitalistic lifestyle, and seek to tap into the limitless potential that God has bestowed upon us. I'm Dr. Daniel Kimbley, your host, and on this podcast, we'll uncover the secrets to living a fulfilling and abundant life, where you and your loved ones can thrive physically, mentally, and spiritually. Together, we'll forge a path to greatness and unleash your God-given capabilities. Get ready to say yes to a life of true prosperity and well-being. This is The Nexus Podcast. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This week on the podcast, something that's come up time and time again inside of the office, and I actually haven't really ever done an episode on it, so I figured it was perfect timing to bring it to you, is an episode about digestion. And all the time I get in the office, one of two things happen, is either people come in, and as we have the conversation about the sympathetic branch versus the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, or the fight or flight branch and the rest and digest, keyword digest in that branch of the nervous system, one of two things happens. Either people come in and they realize they're conscious of their digestive issues, or as we start having a conversation about their bodies, they realize that, oh, I forgot to tell you that I have digestive issues. Now, wherever you stand on that scenario, or maybe it's a friend or a family member, or whatever the case is, the reality is that digestion is controlled by the brain, specifically the right side of the brain. The right side of the brain develops first. And so when people ask me, they're like, hey, could you help me with my constipation? Could you help me with diarrhea? Could you help me with IBS? Could you help me with XYZ? Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. What we know about the body is that in a fight or flight state, in a sympathetic state, when the brain is in a stressed out state, the body is going to naturally, we're going to pull blood from the digestive system, and we're going to move that blood into the bigger muscles so that we can fight or run away. Now, this causes downstream effects. One of those downstream effects being that if we have less blood flow in the gut, we're going to start to change the balance of our bacteria in our gut. And if we change the balance of our bacteria in our gut, our bodies can actually stop producing vitamin K, or us getting enough of vitamin K, which is a precursor for serotonin. And so when we get into to have conversations about anxiety and depression, yes, a lot of that is connected to the gut, but a lot of people go, oh, well, you're just low in serotonin. Let's take an SSRI, which is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, instead of addressing the cause, which in my case, in my understanding of the body, would be, let's look to the gut. And not let's look to the gut and like take more probiotics, but let's figure out, is the body stuck in this fight or flight state? And what do we do to wake up the brain to allow the body to naturally switch itself back over into the rest and digest state? And so here are a couple cool case studies that we've had inside of our office. One of my favorites, this actually just happened about a month ago now, is one of our clients coming in to see us, wicked digestive issues. And I adjust him for the first time, and like literally that next week he comes into the office and he tells me, he's like, all weekend after I got adjusted, he's like, I had this like rumbling and this gassy like pain in my stomach, and then I passed whatever it was in my body, and he realized that it was literally like a baseball size worth of parasites that he had passed. Now, am I going to promise this with every single person? No. But the case remains the same. Is like, as soon as we wake up the brain, and it like literally happened in one adjustment, as soon as we wake up the brain, the body goes back into rest and digest, and the digestive system literally changes. And we saw this with this person. Same thing, I've taken care of other people who, like, every time they come in, they're like, dude, after I get adjusted, I don't know what happens, but it's like, I just have to go, like, immediately. And we've worked with people with constipation and diarrhea and IBS and like all these things that are gut-related issues. But a lot of times, I don't think that practitioners are focusing on what's the actual blood flow like to the brain. And we know from a physiological perspective that if we're pulling blood flow out of the gut, that's going to change the gut lining. It's going to change the balance of bacteria in the gut. And so there can be these changes that happen that unless we address the cause, we're just chasing symptoms, and a lot of times the symptoms are a symptom of a greater cause, which is stress stuck on in the nervous system, which is what we do inside of our office. So when people walk in and they ask me like, hey, could you help with constipation? Or it's crazy that my constipation went away. It's crazy that my son's constipation went away. Or it's crazy that after I started getting adjusted for like weeks on end, I had wicked diarrhea, and then it all went away, and now my stomach and gut feels so much healthier. It's because the body was detoxing itself. It's because we were creating balance inside of the body. Now here's the special part about this. I am not sitting here claiming that I fixed your digestive issues, because the reality is that God gave you the gift of healing. And one of those gifts of healing is that when there is stress, the body goes into a stressed out state to keep you safe and protected. And so I see it time and time again as we start adjusting people who live in a world that is chronically high stress, and we start to adjust them when we wake up the brain, and the brain goes, oh, there's actually nothing to be stressed out about. Let's switch back over into rest and digest. Of course the digestive system changes. The parasympathetic branch of the nervous system is called the rest and digest system for a reason. And I think a lot of times people forget this and they miss it. Is like they hear the word digest, they don't really think about it. But there's so many pieces of this puzzle, and it's like why we see people with skin issues, and their skin issues clear up as we start adjusting them. Restore blood flow to the gut. We restore the gut lining. The body restores the gut lining on its own. And guess what? No more skin issues because we don't have leaky gut anymore. It's not because we're fixing or addressing leaky gut. It's not because we're addressing a symptom, because leaky gut is just a symptom of something. And in our office, we're all about addressing the cause. And the cause is always going to be the brain being stuck in a fight or flight, subcortical fight or flight state. And then the question we ask is, what do we do with the person who sits in front of us to get their body to wake up to a new awareness of the world around itself and realize that there's nothing to fight or run away from. There's no bear or saber-tooth tiger or lion like there would be if we were cavemen and women, so that we can create a new level of awareness within the brain that makes the brain realize that, oh my gosh, we don't need to be in fight or flight. Let's be in rest and digest. And key word is digest in all of this. This is what's so interesting too about the digestive system is most people are like, well, I eat clean, I take supplements, and like, yet I still have all these issues. Part of the problem for a lot of people is that if you're eating clean and taking the supplements, but your digestive system is shot because your brain is shunting blood from the digestive system in a fight or flight state, you're not going to absorb the nutrients like you should in the first place. And it only makes sense because if you need to fight or run away from something, it doesn't make sense to be able to have to digest food in that moment. We want more energy. Our gut uses 20% of our body's blood flow. And so we want more blood flow to other parts of the body that are going to allow us to fight or run away. So of course we would pull blood from the digestive system, move it into the big muscles so we have more oxygen and energy in the big muscles to fight something or run away from it. And if we're not fighting and running away, then the brain's going to continue to further pulling blood out of the digestive system. And this is why I tell people is like, yes, eating clean is important. But it's not more important than addressing the brain, because if we don't address the brain and we don't get the brain to feel like a sense of safety and a sense of rest and a sense of digest, then we're going to continue to pull blood flow out of the gut, and that's going to negatively affect everything else. And so this is why supplements, like, yeah, they're great. This is why eating clean, yeah, it's great. There's nothing wrong with those things, but addressing the cause and the master controller of the system in the first place, which is the brain. And specifically with digestion, it happens to be the right side of the brain. We have a very specific process inside of our office for how we address digestion, for how we address the brain, for how we assess any single individual who sits in front of us, and we can get most of the results. We can help somebody get their body back into a rest and digest state the way God designed us through our process of sitting with them and figuring out, okay, how do we adjust you? How do we affect your brain to wake it up so your body takes care of the healing on its own? No supplements needed, no changing of pillows needed, no probiotics needed in most cases. And this is the magic of what I love getting to do for people, is allow them to express their God-given potential, their God-given abilities that a lot of people just forget were even possible in the first place. So my friends, I love you. If you know someone with digestive issues, share this episode up with them. You can check us out on Instagram. You can check us out on Facebook. You can check out our website, nexusfamilychiropractic.com. I love and appreciate you, and I will come at you again next week. Peace.